Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to reshroud your 25th anniversary ghost face mask. Whether it has a collector's edition shroud, like on the left with the sparkle fabric, or it has the bib as seen when it comes in the 25th anniversary robe packaging. Now you can do this for any ghost face mask that needs a new shroud. Some original masks back in the early 90s came with cotton shrouds and they kind of tear and rip away, so if you want to replace it with another cotton shroud, you can. If you want to replace it with the same material as the ghost face masks that we see nowadays, such as the ultra whites, the Easter Unlimited, etc., you can take it off of an old mask and reshroud it. If you want a whole different fabric than what you see on the Fun World masks, you can also go to a local fabric store and get whatever fabric you want, sew a shroud up, and then place it on the new mask. So in front of us we do have two 25th anniversary ghost face masks. These are the October to December 2022 runs, so they have no blue marks or what they consider blue bacteria. I don't really understand how that can affect the latex or the vinyl, but from what I've heard, these masks are in good condition, and again today we're just going to show you how to reshroud it. So again, here I have the licensed Fun World Easter Unlimited 25th anniversary ghost face mask. Okay, so there's the stamp on the back, but it has on the inside a strap, okay, just like this to keep it on your head because the hood is so big. But we're gonna talk about how to take the stitching out, how to restitch a new shroud on. I'm gonna go over what fabrics you could possibly use. It's all preference how you want it to look. If you want it to look as screen accurate to, say, Scream 5, then you're gonna have to source out what fabrics they used. If you want to do Scream 6, vice versa. I do know that in the Scream 5 and 6 film, they did not add the tassels going down, just like this one doesn't. So I'm gonna pull my reshrouded 25th anniversary mask over, and we'll take a closer look at that. So here we have my 25th anniversary mask on the left and a Scream 4 Easter Unlimited on the right. I wanted to show you the differences between each one. Obviously there's a lot, such as this is more white, as this is a real old mask. Now we're talking about 2010 here, and it's just aging. It does still smell vanilla, as this one smells like vanilla as well. They started putting those into the collector's edition, which is a real nice touch. I do like the smell instead of smelling vinyl in the mask. What I wanted to show you here is this mask here has tassels that run on the side, okay, on each side. And this you can tie behind your head. You can let them drape while you wear your costume if you have a ghost face costume, or you just want to display it. Okay, on the top here I did put Velcro because I have a screen accurate 1996 sparkle robe from Scream Robes on Instagram. Check them out. But this one is as too screen accurate as I could get it for the Scream 5 film, where there's no tassels that run this side. It is not the exact fabric. I tried to find fabric that matched the poly shrouds that you see on the original Fun World masks. I don't know if you can see, I used green stitching too. You won't see that when the costume's on or anything. I ran out of black. I originally did try to glue this on here, but it didn't work out. I ended up sewing it as well. But the fabric choice, I went to my local fabric store, Joann's Fabrics, and I found this polyester fabric. Really soft. It's like an athletic material. Whereas the Fun World Easter Unlimited, you can see one shinier than the other. I liked the matte look of this as well, but I did try to find something as close as I could. Now we're gonna go back to the 25th anniversary with the collector's edition shroud, and we're gonna start ripping the seams out. All right, now we're back with the 25th anniversary collector's edition with the original shroud. Now, I recommend, if you do have one, a seam ripper, okay? Seam ripper just goes in and it's kind of got like this fork look to it and has a blade on the inside of it, and it just like runs through when you're going through the seam. I don't have one of those. I do have, you know, the sewing machine and all this, and I do sew fabrics, and maybe I should invest in one, but I haven't. I'm fine with using a blade. If you want to be like me, please be cautious. They're very sharp. All right, so as you can see the seam where they've stitched it to the vinyl right here. I just take the tip and I poke it through that first one and pull out. And you kind of do it throughout the mask, wherever. It's gonna loosen it up, make it easier to pull the seams out. You could go one by one if you're too cautious and you don't want to ruin the mask. I understand that. Up here is where they've finished the stitching, so you might want to get all of that up here, make it easier for you, and just go around the whole mask, getting all the stitches, ripping them out. I also wanted to show you, this makes it easier too. If you pull away, and you can kind of see that stitch right there, right? Just kind of, it's hard to do it while I'm trying to film it, but you're just gonna pull it out, make sure you see it, cut the next one, and keep going and going around the mask. That's also an easy way to do it instead of just doing every individual stitch. The shroud is fully off the vinyl part of the mask now, and you can see it looks really weird, especially when they do the bib on it and it's just the chin portion, and then they have the mask like this up top. I've never liked that look. If I ever got one, like a vintage one, I would reshroud it as well. I always like having that full covering. I remember being a little kid and I had the bloody mask, and I always wanted one of these. They just looked more realistic, like from the films, and they really do. The ultra whites are crappy, but and that's just my personal opinion, but you know, when I was growing up and I saw people having this at like Halloween parties at school, and I still had the blood mask, I kind of just always wanted one of these. But I have a couple of them now. But again, this is what it looks like. Let's get back to topic. You're gonna start like pulling these out and everything, getting rid of them, you know. So after all that's gone, we're gonna start templating, making a template of the shroud, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so here's my template that I use to make my shroud. Now, it was easier for me to make the template because I had a mask already. If you don't have a mask, okay, such as, you know, an Easter Unlimited that has a shroud already, it's gonna be a lot more tricky for you, but it's not impossible, okay? So the first thing I did was I took my Easter Unlimited mask, I took it off the mannequin head, and I kind of folded it in half, like so. It's not gonna ruin the shape or anything unless you heat it up with a hairdryer, and then you hold it like this. And you fold it in half so you get something that's like the seam that runs down it is like perfect. Not like perfect, but you know, just a general shape. And as you can see, that's the template already. So I just kind of went over an inch, or like so, over it when I did it, and I traced it. I didn't touch the shroud with a pen or anything to mark it up and everything, and I kind of just went around the shroud like so. And for the front end of it, I went up this way first, then I stopped. I kind of took the chin portion and I matched it here, and then I curved it in a little bit to do this. Now, when I did that, I thought it needed to be kind of, like a circle, essentially. When you have two halves and everything, it would create a circle. But you don't need to do that. All you have to do is just go straight up through. Okay, that's what I did for the second shroud I made, and it worked perfectly. The first one was a little too tight towards the back of my head. This one, when I put it through, everything, it worked. Now, after I made the template, you get your fabric, okay? And you place it on the fabric, and you cut around another, I want to say, 1/2 inch, okay? Because you're gonna want a seam allowance when you stitch it together, and also stitch it to the mask so it's not too tight. If you don't have, say, a mask that you can just trace around the shroud, what I recommend is same concept, fold it in half, place it down, maybe measure, say this was your forehead, right? Measure the circumference of your forehead from the front to the back, okay? Place it down here, go from here, and whatever that measurement is, that's how far you need to go back. If you have a more athletic material, poly, shroud, whatever, come forward a little bit, because it will stretch, and you do want it to be, not tight, but so it doesn't move around your head and you need an elastic strap, okay? And then same concept, run down, make sure this side is curved, run it down. You can go as long as you want, okay? If you want it super long, you want it shorter because it's too long for you, that's up to you. I personally like the length of the original poly shrouds, but again, it's ultimately up to you. Now, if you want tassels on your mask, all you have to do is measure from this side of the tassel all the way over here, okay? You're going to make a template of that size, okay? That's about roughly maybe 3.5, almost 4 inches there. And then when you sew it, obviously you're putting it in half, right? And you're sewing it into the shroud as well with the mask, and it gives you your tassels. If you want them longer, you can make them longer. I know for me, when I put these on, I don't tie it around the back of my head. I tie it above my head, and then I put the hood on when I wear them, and that holds for me. Okay, now we're gonna go cut out our fabric. Okay, so different scenery now. I got my cutting mat here. We have the fabric of my choice, and we have our template. All right, what we're gonna do first, again, make sure you do have a cutting mat. That's the first thing you should do, so you don't cut if you're doing it on the carpet, or you're doing it on your mother's table or your wife's table. You don't want to cut it up. You don't want to hear them get mad or anything like that. All right, so make sure you have a cutting mat. You can use scissors if you want. I personally have a rotary tool, which is specifically made for fabrics. This is the easiest thing that you could use to get your fabric cut the fastest, instead of sitting here going with scissors. All right, so now we're gonna fold this in half. The reason I fold it in half is you'll already have 2 pieces of fabric cut out for you. So, as I can find the ends, okay, throw it back that way. Make sure you lay it flat, just like so, and then you take the other piece and you lay that flat over top of it until it lines up, which I will show you. So it lines up with the bottom edge. So you know one of your edges is already lined up. Okay, now that I have it laid out as flat as I can get it, as perfect as I can get it, nothing's ever perfect. Okay, so if you mess up, don't get frustrated, keep retrying it. You'll only progress better and better. You're gonna learn new tips. You're gonna, you know, ask questions to somebody. They're gonna tell you something new. You're gonna try these different things, all right? So now you're gonna take your template, and like I said, I put it at the bottom here. This bottom edge, whenever you get fabric, is always gonna be, I guess, surged to where it's not gonna fray. So that's gonna be my bottom already. So I just place it at the bottom. Just like so, okay? Now this edge right here, I kind of leave it a little bit over because like I said, I'm going to cut like maybe half an inch or an inch more than the outside perimeter. So I have a seam allowance when I stitch it to my mask and I stitch this together. So get your handy dandy rotary tool, get your handy dandy scissors, whatever you're gonna use. You can, you know, make a guideline with some fabric chalk because black fabric doesn't really take marker and like coloring like that. So you got to get something that's going to be visible for you to see. So fabric chalk, you can grab that for black fabric. And it just, you know, washes away. As if you use marker on a fabric, it's going to stay there. Might not wash out, especially if you use permanent marker on accident. So get some fabric chalk if you want to actually make where you need to cut. Me, I place my template down and I just go at it. So again, you know, about, you know, a finger's length away, half an inch, and kind of press down and cut around your fabric. It should pull away. So now what we have here is your fabric cut out, all right? So again, like I said, if you fold it in half, right, and you cut it, you'll get two sides. Now you don't have to go back and recut it, and it's the perfect size if you cut it like that. And they're all the same edges. So again, rotary tool is your best friend for cutting fabrics. Now you're gonna pull out your handy dandy sewing machine, or if you wanna hand sew it. I personally love using the sewing machine. It sews so much faster, obviously. And you're just gonna place it in there and run across this seam, right? All the way down. Now, each mask has a slit in the back where it stops from the stitch going farther down. This helps you put the mask over your head. If it is too far down this way, it's going to be harder to put over your head, okay? So, when you're sewing, right, place this down, right? Make sure it's all flat and nice looking to your template, and put a clip there where you want to stop sewing, or, you know, a pin in the fabric so you know where to stop, okay? Same concept in this section right here. This is the hardest section to do. You're going to need I guess a fabric tape measure is what you would call it, but you're gonna measure from the center of the mask where the eyes, I think they do have a center mark there, so you're gonna measure from there and pull your measuring tape all the way down till you meet the center of the mask. Obviously this one's misshapen, so it's kind of hard to tell the center, but if it was centered, everything, the center of your mask would be about right here for mine, okay? And you're gonna measure from, like I said, the top to the bottom, all right? You're gonna do that. Then you're gonna take that measurement, go from the top here to the bottom here, okay? After you sew it though, after you sew this side, go from that stitch line to right here, or whatever your measurement is. Sew that up, obviously put a pin there where your measurement stops, sew that up. Then you're gonna have a shroud. It's gonna look like a balaclava. essentially, yeah. And that's what's gonna go around your mask with the stitch line that's there in the front of the bottom of the chin, and then you have a stitch line from the top going down the back. Now again, here is my reshrouded 25th anniversary mask. This is what it's gonna look for your end product, okay? If we flip it inside out, again, I put where it stops and it fits on my head, okay? Don't mind the green fabric or the green stitching. Now, I use glue, super glue, not super glue. It's like a Gorilla Glue, but it's a gel type glue, and it worked for the most part coming around here, and it stays. I do want to go through and restitch this, but I ended up stitching it across the cheek marks over here, and you can see the green thread, I hope. Yeah, you can see it, and down at the bottom, and so on and so forth, because it got so hard trying to pull it over, making sure that it was all glued and where you wanted to glue on the cheek mark too. Okay, so I just kind of sewed it. You can see through here where it is sewn at the bottom. The top portion is just glued, but I am gonna go back and re-sew that. You can see the original stitch marking right there. I chose to push it forward. The reason I chose to push that stitch forward towards the cheek more is if you see one of the masks from Scream 5, if I can get this out of here, if you watch one of the or look at a screen used mask from Scream 5, which I will pull up a picture of it, everything, the stitch actually starts at the corner here and then gets really, really close to the chin mark, and like it's sewn really close to the chin. Whereas if you have one of these, I guess you can't really see it, where they stitched and it's not tucked to the chin, where this one I got stitched really, really close, and you can see some of the glue here. So again, that's another way to like get your mask to look like a mask from a specific film. So again, in Scream 5 and Scream 6, it's really close to this, like where it starts to the cheek or the eye is right here, and it's really close here, and then it gets closer and closer. So I got to restitch mine closer in this section to get the actual shape I want to be kind of like that. All right, now we are in position at my desk to start sewing and showing you how to sew it the correct way. There's no wrong or right to it, okay? We're gonna use my first mask, the one that is sewn at the bottom where the chin area is, and then we're just gonna sew a portion on the top, just so I can show you guys how you should be sewing it the way I do it. But again, there's no wrong or right to it. So obviously you can go through that first hole that's at the top and reuse the stitching line that's already there, so it's easier for you to sew through, okay? And I have my thread. Obviously I don't have black. I should probably get some in the future if I'm going to continue to do this, okay? And then what you're going to want to do is kind of like puncture through it, like not all the way, but until you see like the point is gonna like be poking the vinyl, and you'll see where your point is, and kind of try and find your stitching line holes, making sure that this is all flush and flat this way and it's not gonna bunch up. So you just go through that way, come back through, okay, until all that thread is pulled through, and then go back through the next one, Again, puncture around until you find the hole. Pull through. Go to the next one. One last time. And back through. Okay, all the way down to where it's left off. I like to start from the center, work my way down, and I do 4 sections. I do from the top of the forehead down to the eye, from the top of the forehead down to the eye, then from the bottom of the eye where you left off down to the middle of the chin, same concept this way, and so on and so forth. Right, we are back with the bottom. Okay, so this is the part where it gets easier. It's a lot harder to find your original holes going through this side of the mask, but like I said, poke around in that area until you feel it. You'll see the needle coming through and poking the vinyl a little bit. You'll just reposition it until you find the hole. But this is the easiest part now. Now you know where the holes are, right? So essentially, you're just going to go to this hole right there. Pull your thread through. And now your thread, where you started or stopped at, came back. You have a thread together instead of these empty spaces here. And then same with here. You'll probably see it better on this side. You'll go through that hole. And there you go. You got a little stitch there instead of all those gaps. And you're just going to continue that all the way up through the mask. Now you got one side done. All right. I usually at the end of them tie a knot. Obviously, you don't need to tie a knot there. It's going to loop through everything. But where I tie my knots, I put a dab of glue at those areas. And then just repeat the steps. Now, remember to pull the thread all the way through until you know, just to have enough to go all the way down and then all the way up. Tie it off, cut it off, and repeat the process on the other side. All sewed up, everything is stitched in. You can flip it inside out. And you have a stitched ghost face mask. All nice and good to go. You have it, 2 newly shrouded 25th anniversary ghost face masks. Now I hope the process was pretty easy to follow, and I understand like not a lot of people are very techie or, you know, hand savvy, handyman, handy woman, you know, but I'm sure if you just continue to try and practice, you'll be able to get this. You know, I tried with the glue and it didn't work. I thought I could, you know, give you guys an alternative method, and I wanted to try it for myself, but unfortunately it did not work the way I wanted it to. So again, take your time. Don't rush this. It's very simple to do. All you're doing is just following through the guideline that's already there for you. The hardest part is actually making the shroud itself. If you don't want to make a shroud, you could always get an ultra white mask that you don't like, or a mask that you don't care to ruin. I recommend ultra whites. They're cheap and easy to find nowadays. And you can just sew that onto the mask itself. You don't have to do any measurements, nothing. It has the tassels already if you want those. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I do have the leftover sparkle shrouds. I have 2 of them, and I also have both of the tags. I don't collect any of this stuff. I don't know where to put it. I don't collect my masks and keep the tags and hang them on the wall. I like to have a museum kind of feel in my collection room, which upcoming collection tour coming up. The next video is going to be turning this bad boy into a Scream 6 aged mask. I haven't decided if I'm going to go with Billy Loomis or Stu Macher. But I hope you guys enjoy the next video as much as I am going to enjoy doing it. I just love this shape right here. You know, it just screams to me Scream 5 and Scream 6 if you sew the shroud on, like I said. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.